Honorable Minister for Health and Social Development, Mr. Ronnie W. Skelton. Honorable Dolores Christopher, Representative for the 5th Electoral District. Honorable Alvaro Maduro Keynes, Representative for the 6th Electoral District. Honorable Archibald Christian, Territorial at-Large Representative. Pastor Gregory George, Ms. Evelyn Potter, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Irad Potter, and other distinguished colleagues from the Ministry of Health and Social Development, the BVI Health Services Authority, and other partner agencies, residents and friends of the Virgin Gorda community, members of the media, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Petrona Davies. I will be your moderator for this evening. It's my pleasure and delight to welcome you to this evening's community meeting to present conceptual designs for the new Nurse Iris O'Neill Medical Center. Before we proceed further, I would like to call on Pastor Gregory George at this time to invoke God's presence in our proceedings. Please stand as he comes.
Pleasant good night. Let us pray. Eternal Father in heaven, we want to thank you for life and God for strength. We thank you, God, for this meeting, for this gathering tonight, and we are trusting and praying, Father, for your Holy Spirit to, Father, come and to guide each proceeding, this entire proceeding. We ask that, Father, you give clarity to speech. We pray that, Father, there will be unity as we discuss the conceptual design for the Nurse Iris O'Neill Clinic. We pray, Father, Lord, as your word have said, without vision we will perish. So we pray that, God, the vision that is set forth tonight, that, Father, each and every one may have a part to say and to input, God. That, Father, the designs will, for the betterment of this community, will come to fruition, and that the people living here, Lord, their lives will be better off because of it. So we thank you again for each and every one, those whom you have gifted with skills and ability to, Father, Lord, design such. We pray that, Father, you will bless each and everything. Bless each and every one, God, as we give you thanks for all that has been done thus far. And we ask that, Lord, your presence again will just be here in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you very much, Pastor George. It's often said that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And we have made some steps in the direction of establishing a new medical facility on Virgin Gorda in recent years, albeit faltering ones. You will, of course, recall that at a previous meeting similar to this one, some preliminary designs were presented for the development of the facility that we're discussing tonight, and we invited your feedback. And we did get that feedback. It was loud and clear. I would simply summarize by saying that you sent us back to the drawing board in the most literal sense. You did not want an overly elaborate design. You did not want a miniature version of the New People's Hospital. You did not want a facility that would be too costly to build and operate. And what we did hear loud and clear was what you did want, a facility that would be sufficient, that would have sufficient capacity to stabilize and monitor patients, together with a reliable transportation system for Medivac. A facility that was more accessible in terms of opening hours and the range of services that would be available on this island. And we took that feedback on board, and after taking some time to overcome some contractual difficulties, we were pleased to finally welcome on board a new design team, A.R. Potter and Associates, headed by a young local architect, Ms. Evelyn Potter. And you will see from her presentation tonight that we have created a design concept that is practical, efficient, affordable, and aesthetically pleasing. A design that is also amenable to future expansion as the need arises. Before she comes, we will be favored with remarks from our Honorable Minister for Health and Social Development. Please welcome him as he comes. Honorable Ronnie W. Skelton.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Honorable Dolores Christopher, Honorable Alvaro Keynes, Honorable Archibald Christian, and my colleague, the Minister of Education, is here, but he got hungry on the way and he stopped to get a bite, so he said he'll be here in about a few minutes. I also need to apologize for the absence of the Premier, who went overseas on official tourism business, but seemed to can't make it back home because we don't have enough flights coming into the country. So I guess he's getting the experience that tourists get. And I want to also apologize for the Deputy Premier, Dr. Kedrick Pickering, who will be here he's coming on the 8 o'clock boat. And he stayed back for a very good reason, because today, one of us that makes us proud, Janice George Pereira, was knighted. So there was a function being held at 7 o'clock, so he had to be there to give remarks because the Premier didn't make it back. So I think we all can be justly proud of a daughter of the soil and the first female to be knighted in the British Virgin Islands and the first female justice of the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal. So we have a lot to be thankful for. I want to continue and thank you, all of you here, for coming. The leader of the opposition is just coming in. Welcome, Mr. O'Neill. We are here tonight to present a conceptual design for the Iris O'Neill Clinic. And as the PS mentioned, this is the second time the government of the Virgin Islands has come before you to present preliminary designs for a medical facility for Virgin Gorda. Your feedback from the first meeting was taken into consideration by the team at the Ministry of Health and Social Development, the BVI Health Services Authority, and our architect, A.R. Potter and Associates. And they have forged ahead, and on the walls in the back, you will see some of the concepts that we will show you on the screen here tonight. Tonight is an opportunity where we hear your views on the revisions made and the operational requirements for the medical center. It will also ensure that we are on the right path to responding to your healthcare needs on Virgin Gorda. If we are not on that path, our team of health officials and architects are here to take notes and make the necessary practical and feasible adjustments to the plans. As the Minister for Health, your Minister of Health, I assure you that this new medical facility will be fully equipped to handle most medical situations that will arise here in Virgin Gorda. For emergency care, it will be equipped to stabilize patients for transportation to Tortola. Additionally, the emergency room of the new Nurse Iris O'Neill Medical Center, you notice that one time I'm saying center, another time I'm saying clinic, so you probably need to correct me there, which one of the names you will go by. that the emergency room of the new Nurse Iris O'Neill Medical Center will be open on a 24-hour basis, and there will be medical staff on call to handle emergency situations that are outside the normal procedures. This new facility will be a phased development project which is estimated to take from tonight, once we get the green light, from tonight until it's completed, about 18 to 24 months. Its services will expand to meet the evolving healthcare needs of the community as we go forward in time. Monies are already allocated in the 2013 budget to finalize the construction drawings and start moving forward with the preliminary works once we agree on what will be presented here tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, I must interject that improving our health status goes beyond building new hospitals, medical centers, and clinics. That is why the government is also promoting wellness and rolling out a strategy to fight chronic, non-communicable diseases, which continue to be the leading causes of death among our people. The common risk factors for conditions such as cancer, heart disease, hypertension, strokes, and diabetes include behaviors that we can change, such as harmful use of alcohol, unhealthy diets, lack of physical activity. When we return to Virgin Gorda, not this team, but the government team, on May 29th for the next Government on the Road community meeting, I will update you on our plans for collaboration with the Virgin Gorda Health and Wellness Committee and how you can get involved in stemming the rate of increase of non-communicable diseases. So do your part to make the lifestyle changes that will keep you healthy. Encourage your friends and family to do the same. We at the Ministry of Health and Social Development, along with the Beaver Health Services Authority, will do our part to create a holistic healthcare system and modern infrastructure to ensure that when you or your loved ones need healthcare services, they will be delivered at international standards. That is our aim. I trust that you will pay keen attention to the information being presented tonight, and I look forward to answering your questions, regardless of how difficult they may be. So please, tell us what you need tonight so we can move on and get something done with the new Iris O'Neill Medical Facility. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. For those of you who don't know me, as Patrona said, I'm Evelyn Potter, and I am the architect for the new medical center, which is to be constructed here in the Valley. We have been working on the design for this project for a few months now, and we have completed the schematic design drawings, and that is basically what I'm going to be sharing with you this evening. I'm actually very happy to see that so many people came out to the meeting, because it is critical for us to get good user feedback in order to ensure that we are on the right path to a successful project. So if you can please let me have your attention for a few minutes as I go through the major elements of the design. I will take all questions immediately following. Okay, the proposed site for the new medical center is located here in the Valley, and it is to be situated adjacent to the existing Nurse Iris O'Neill Clinic. We are now looking at a bird's eye view of the site from the southwestern corner. And just to orient you, firstly, this gray mass represents the existing Nurse Iris O'Neill Clinic. The larger gray mass at the rear represents the existing apartment block that is there. This, of course, is our site, and this is the building that we're proposing to construct. The public road is this gray area that runs along the front of the site. We are proposing to have a 25 client parking space at the front of the facility right here. Of those 25 spaces, approximately 3 of them will be handicap spaces, and they are situated at the front of the building right here. We are also proposing to have a 2-lane driveway that goes to the rear of the site to an additional 25 parking spaces that will basically serve as overflow parking or staff parking. The main entrance to the facility is located at this point right here at the center of the front of the building, and we are proposing to use this area here as our emergency entrance, 24-hour emergency entrance and ambulance bay. We are also proposing to have a patient drop-off space at the front of the building here. So if you were to arrive at the facility with somebody who is possibly not feeling well, what would you do? You would drive up this 2-lane drive, you would take a left around the traffic circle, you would stop in front of the building, let them out, and then hopefully you'll take a parking space in one of the spaces at the front or one of the spaces at the rear, depending on what's available. I'd like to also point out 2 additional features on this slide. This is the location of our helipad at the rear of the site, and of course this is to facilitate easy transfer of patients from the facility to People's Hospital in Road Town, and of course our all-important backup generator, because of course the building is to be open, I think it's 24 hours. The building will be open 24 hours. From when we open the doors, we expect that the building will never close, at least not the emergency service. This department, it will remain open. Slow down, okay. We are now looking at the front elevation of the building, and the main features that we can see on the front are the main entrance at the center right here. We can see our elevator tower off to the left, and we can see our emergency area off to the right. I'd also like to bring to your attention a 30-inch deep ribbon wall here. And why is that important? It's important because this wall houses our hurricane emergency shutters. So in the event that there's a hurricane warning or a tropical storm warning, the building will definitely be secure, because of course this is all automatic, which is not difficult to do at all. So you don't have to worry about the glass, because the building will be secure in the event of a storm or a hurricane. Moving on, we are now standing just outside the facility, and we are looking at a perspective view of the front of the facility. We can clearly see the location of the main entrance at the front center. We can see the elevator tower off to our left. I think this perspective gives you a very good idea of what the building will look like. We can also see more clearly the location of the ambulance bay. We can see the emergency sign that's right here on the building. We can also see the driveway that goes back to the overflow and staff parking area. We can also see site amenities in the 3D, things like the flagpoles, of course, because it's a public building. We can see our lighting, landscaping, and things of that nature. In this 3D, we can also begin to see some of the material that we're proposing to use on the building. We are proposing to use a copper-colored galvalume at the front here and on the inverted parapet. We are also planning to use some local stone on the base of the columns and on the front of the building, as well as on the elevator tower. We are now actually inside the building, and we are looking at a 3D perspective image of the lower level waiting area. We're going to take a quick look at this to help us to better visualize what we will be looking at once we get to the floor plan. So I am going to start on the image. I'm going to start at the back of the image and make my way forward and explain exactly what we're looking at. Okay, at the rear of the image, we can see the staircase that goes up to the second level. This is right here. Right beyond the staircase on our right, we have the main entrance. As we advance into the building from the main entrance, we have the security booth. This is where the security guard is going to be stationed, right about here. And as we come forward, what else do we have? We have the reception or nurses station at this point. We are proposing to have seating for approximately 25 people indoor and seating for an additional 20 people outdoor. We've divided all of the waiting rooms in the building into two so that they are an indoor air-conditioned component as well as an outdoor component. There are two main waiting rooms on the building, one on the lower level, which is the urgent care area, and one on the second level, which is ambulatory services. So that is a feature that I personally like in the building because I like to sit outside. Just beyond the person holding the camera, we have the public restrooms in the building, which on this level, which I will show you a little bit more of once we get to the floor plan. Now that we've gotten an idea of what the interior of the building looks like, we will now look at the floor plan for the first level, which houses the urgent care area. There are 6 different types of spaces on the first floor, and they're color-coded for ease of reference. I will just go through them quickly. The circulation spaces are shown in this tan color right here. These are circulation. Emergency services are shown in green. Laboratory spaces are these spaces down here shown in this light orange peach color. Our pharmacy is shown in pink. The public areas are shown in yellow. Service areas are shown in brown. Those are these areas right here. And our staff-only areas are shown in this light blue-purple type color here. I will now take you through each of the individual spaces on the floor plan, starting at the main entrance. So we can say maybe we arrive at the facility, it is 10:30 at night, and our reason for our visit may be severe stomach cramps or some other ailment. What would we do? At this time, the main door should still be open. So we would enter through the main door here. On our right, we would see the staircase. On our left, we would see the elevator lobby with the 2 elevators. As we advance forward in the building, we would see the security booth right in front of us at this point. And over here, we would see the seating that we were just looking at. So we would basically come in the building and walk up to the main nurse's station or receptionist desk. We would sign in. Hopefully we'd have a seat for not more than a few minutes. Once we've signed in, the receptionist or nurse at the nurse's station would then contact one of the nurses sitting at the nurse's station in the emergency department, of course, alert them that they have a patient waiting. Hopefully they would come out, hopefully in a few minutes, through these secure doors, and they would get you, take you back into the emergency department, into the nurse's station area, where they would take your blood pressure, temperature, weight, all that sort of thing. And then they would probably invite you to wait comfortably in one of the 4 beds in the emergency room or in one of the 2 private treatment rooms in the emergency department while they contact a doctor who might be at the doctor's lounge because he's having a break. The doctor will, of course, then come and visit you in your emergency room bed. He may decide that you need to have some tests taken or something, so I guess they would be able to take you, wheel you right across the hall to the imaging and laboratory area, where they would then take you into the laboratory to get your test done, or take you into the X-ray or imaging room to have your imaging study done. Once that is concluded, hopefully they will take you back and your visit can be a pleasant one. Take you back to your bed until they figure out exactly what is going on, and you can hopefully have a pleasant visit. Hopefully you do not need to visit the emergency operating theater or procedure room, which is located right here. But just to go through the other areas on the floor, we have male and female restrooms located right around here in this yellow area. Just beyond that, these are just service, basically building service areas. This one is a janitor's closet. Adjacent to that, we have an electrical equipment room, which is accessible only from outside, and this brown space here is our mechanical equipment room, accessible from outside. Of course, as a patient at the facility, you would not be concerned with these things. These would be spaces to be utilized by people who work at the facility. As we continue down the corridor to the right, at this point we have an emergency exit. Of course, the emergency from the first level, which comes out right here at the rear of the facility. Of course, the emergency exits would be equipped with panic bars and alarms, so it's not a door that anybody can enter into or exit out of without setting off an alarm. At this point, we have, we have an IT room, which is basically computer servers and things of that area. As we continue down the hall, we have medical record storage, another storage area for the facility, and we make our way back up and out. On our way out of the facility, we have a small waiting area that holds approximately, I think it's about 8 or 10 people. And this waiting area serves a pharmacy, which is right here, as well as the cashier, which is located here. So once you have your prescription filled, and if you are not exempt and have to pay, then you do that right here, and then you leave the facility at this point. Okay. We are now on the second level of the facility, and as we exit the stair on the second level, this is basically what we will see. We are now looking at a view of the second level waiting area. This is what you would see as you get off the staircase. The staircase is directly behind you. The elevator lobby is off to your left, and of course you can see the main seating area in front of you. In a very similar way to the waiting area downstairs, the waiting area on the second level, which basically houses ambulatory services, has been divided into two. We have an indoor waiting area, which is air conditioned, of course, that holds about 26 people. That is this area here. And we are proposing to have an outdoor waiting area just beyond these glass doors that will be able to hold approximately 24 people. In front of us, we can see the reception desk and nurses station. We can see the sign for the public restrooms right around here. You can see the sign that says restrooms. It's a bit cut off, but you can see it here. To the left of that, we have our administration corridor. You can see the single sliding glass door, just where this lady is standing. That goes down to administration services. On this side, we have another single sliding glass door that goes down to the physician's corridor. Call it physician's corridor, but basically it's ambulatory services. It's the place where you would see the doctors and nurses on a regular visit, a regular daytime visit that's not an emergency. Out of the field of view of the camera, we have the dentist just over in this corner. You can't actually see it, but I'll point it out. I'll point it out on the floor plan. And we also have the physical therapist. There we go. Now we are looking at the second level floor plan, and there are 6 functional areas on this level. I will just run through them carefully for you. We have administration services are shown in blue. Those are these spaces down here. We have ambulatory services are shown in this seafoam blue-green color. Right here, all of these are ambulatory services. We have circulation in tan. We have the public areas are in yellow, and our service areas are in brown. We will now go through the spaces on the second level, starting at the main staircase, and I'll probably just run you through a quick scenario. If you were to arrive at the facility and it's, say, 9 o'clock in the morning, and you're here to see one of the doctors, where do you go and what do you do? You would enter through the main door downstairs, which is at this point. You would either make your way up the stairs to this point, or you would make your way up in the elevator. You would then, of course, advance to the nurses' station or the reception desk that we just saw in the 3D image, where you would sign yourself in and hopefully have a seat in one of these chairs in this waiting area or in the outdoor waiting area. The person working at this nurse's station would then contact one of the nurses and advise them that there's a patient waiting. One of the nurses that would probably be situated in one of these 4 nurse consultation rooms along here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. One of the nurses would then come out and retrieve you, take you back into the consultation room where they would take your blood pressure, temperature, things of that nature, reasons for your visit. They would then take you to one of our 3, after they finished taking all of that information, they would take you to one of the 3 exam rooms along the corridor that are to be used by the physicians. We have exam room 1, 2, 3, and they would situate you in the room to be comfortable and wait for your doctor to come in to see you. We have 2 resident doctors' offices and 1 specialist doctor, so they would advise whichever the doctor that you're there to see or whatever doctor better suits your needs, that you are waiting in the exam room, and then of course the doctor would come in and begin your examination. Okay, we can now go through the other areas on the 2nd floor. At this point we have male and female restrooms. We have a space here that's basically called dirty utility, which is a space that would hold all of the dirty effects from the ambulatory services area, would be if they chose to use fabric gowns and any other type of effects used for medical examinations. Once those things are clean, they would be stored in this area that has been designated for clean utility storage. Also accessible from the ambulatory services area is our emergency exit from the 2nd level, which you can see the staircase right here. This is the point of entry. And of course, just like the emergency exit on the 1st level, it will be equipped with a panic bar and an alarm. So it's not a door that can be used to exit the facility without sounding an alarm. Now we can move back out into the main waiting area around here, and let me just go through the other spaces that are on the 2nd level. At this point, we have physiotherapy, which is accessible from the main waiting area on the 2nd level. And we have our dentist space here, which is equipped with 2 dental chairs and can easily be expanded to hold a 3rd. We also have our public restrooms at this location, and they are also accessible from the main waiting area. I'm going to take you down now into the administrative services area of the building, and these are the people who are responsible for basically running the facility, and public health nurses. These are the nurses that go out into the community. At this point here, we just have a small administrative office with a waiting area for people coming to administrative services. We have an office for the senior public health nurse. We also have a copy area with storage for forms and copy paper and things of that nature. Here we have 4 stations for the public health nurses, and we have a small meeting or conference room at the rear here that is to be used by the staff of the facility. The room, I think, holds about 15 or 20 people comfortably. At the rear of the 2nd level, we have it's a staff break room, lunchroom area that would be equipped just with a table, some chairs, probably some casework, a small refrigerator, and a microwave. As we continue out, this brown space is a storage area for the 2nd level. We have a janitor's closet right about here and our staff restroom. Now, as we leave the 2nd level, this is basically what we are going to see as we leave the 2nd level. You would, of course, be able to see the staircase which descends here on our left. We can also see out into the parking lot, so we can begin to see things like the flagpoles, and we can see how much glass it really is. It's really not that much, but it should provide a lot of natural light into the space, which should make the space a much nicer space to sit in. On the right here, we can see our elevator lobby with 2 elevators, which of course are necessary for the patrons using the facility, as it is a medical facility. Okay, this basically concludes our tour of the interior of the building, and as we wrap up, I will just go through the additional 3 elevations, the other 3 sides of the building. We are now looking at the rear of the building, and you can basically see things like the emergency exit that we looked at on the floor plan. We can see the mechanical and electrical equipment area right here. We can see the stone that we're proposing to use on the base of the columns. We can see things like the elevator tower beyond. We are now looking at the southern elevation of the building, and just to run through for you what we're looking at, we can see the outdoor waiting area on the 2nd level. This is this area right here. We can see the mechanical spaces, the elevator tower, which we can see from any side of the building because it's of course the tallest part of the building. And we cannot see the ambulance bay well because it is hidden behind this wall. There is a privacy wall on the outside of the ambulance bay. This of course is an effort to promote patient privacy so that if someone is in the ambulance, they don't necessarily have to worry that everybody who is walking by can see them. Now this is the last elevation for the building, and this is the northern elevation. And in this elevation we can see the outdoor waiting area on the 1st level right about here. And of course the elevator tower, things like the inverted parapet on the top of the building here. And that basically concludes our tour of the facility. I think that's it. Much emphasis has been placed on providing a facility, a professional and comfortable environment, which will not only meet but exceed the needs of the residents of Virgin Gorda for many years to come. This concludes the presentation segment, and I welcome you to voice your questions or concerns at this time.
We want to thank Ms. Potter very much for that very comprehensive overview of the design. We will be entertaining your questions, looking at each level, starting with the ground floor emergency area. And our panel is reseated. You're familiar, next to Ms. Potter, our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Irad Potter. I also want to take a few minutes while you get your questions prepared to welcome from the lectern the Honorable Leader of the Opposition and Representative for District 9, the Honorable Ralph T. O'Neill. Also, the Minister for Education and Culture and your territorial at-large representative, the Honorable Myron Walwyn. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us this evening. Can I also introduce you to a member of the ministry's project office? He's standing in the back, Mr. Dan DeMeyer. He is an engineer, architect-engineer who is specialized in the design of medical facilities and who assisted us greatly. He works primarily on the New People's Hospital project, but has been able to lend his expertise in this, the development of this design as well. So thank you very much for being here. Also, I think you're familiar with Dr. Ogunde from the BVI Health Services Authority. Everybody knows you, Dr. Ogunde, who's the Director of Community Health Services. So thank you as well for being here this evening. So the panel will entertain your questions now, and I propose that we take it floor by floor and entertain general questions at the end. Who will be first? I think we have roving mics.
Good evening. I'd like to first express my thanks for the obvious progress that has been made. Residents of Virgin Gorda's comments were incorporated in the changes and many of the changes that were made. I think in summarizing the comments, the Permanent Secretary omitted one of the issues that was raised as a profound issue in Virgin Gorda, which was simply a medical facility to take care of sick people. Mentioned the 20 more comprehensive approach. But one of the concerns that the diagrams or sketches illuminate is that the structures do not entail any wellness programs, so to speak. So it suggests that the wellness program might be strictly a soft program, where you have people go out and learn to do things on their own. And I don't know if that is the conceptualization that we're looking at in the ministry, but I know in other jurisdictions, it is actually a program where you have infrastructure, capital infrastructure, as well as soft infrastructure, to assist with the transition from a sick society to a well society. And I did not notice any emergency or backup power systems, and I don't know whether that will be incorporated on the back end of the project. The question that raises itself is, where is the expansion going to be in the facility? Is it going to be horizontal expansion? Is it going to be vertical expansion? Horizontal expansion, what is the life cycle that we see on the site? And whether we intend to use vertical expansion at a later date. And of course, money is an issue. What are we looking at as the budgeted costs for this facility in the first phase? And then I would stop there, but the critical element is also missing from the physical structure that was raised, and I know we've had communications with the Honorable Minister on that in the one meeting that we had. But dialysis, and as he said, communicable diseases, is problematic. And there was a new study that just came out, I think it was published about a month ago, talking about the problems with non-communicable and platform diseases, heart, diabetes, which is really the platform disease, and what to do about them. And I think the plan should either address it in the immediacy or in the near future on how we're going to deal with particularly dialysis, since we are on an island that is not located in any close proximity in reality to the main hospital where the dialysis is. Thanks.
Thank you very much for those questions. The first question speaks to whether the facility would accommodate wellness programs. The minister mentioned the chronic disease strategy, but how the facility fits in.
Yeah, let me see if I can shed some light on the questions. The wellness program, as you rightfully know, it's normally developed in the communities, and we are hoping in Tortola to use community centers and other public facilities to perform the wellness center. Now, I think what you're saying, we need a space in the hospital to bring attention to people that they need to look after their health. So a room at the facility should not be a difficult thing if we take a second look. But I understand, because I go to some facilities in the States and I see this wellness center. I don't think it's a place where you go and get information and to look after your health. The expansion cannot be vertical, it has to be lateral. So at some point, the existing facility will have to be expanded towards the The left,
Towards the existing clinic.
towards the existing clinic. We took that into consideration when we were looking at it with the architect, because you're building a facility for 50 years. You're not building a facility for 10 years, 5 years. So you have to think on all these possibilities. You can't go vertical because of the airport. The budgeted cost for this facility, we estimated to be about $4.5 million. And we think it's doable over the 18, 24 months. Dialysis. Vaughn Whitley and his brother, there is, I think he's still around, there is someone here who wants to partner with us to put a dialysis unit inside the facility. Again, what I did is I invited them to the dialysis unit at People's Hospital so he could get an appreciation of what all is involved and what all would be required, because dialysis is not just a machine you plug people onto. There's a lot of stuff, and I think he and Mr. Whitley was there too, and it's a comprehensive thing. You can't do it half-stepping. So when we go do it, we have to do it properly. I know, and Dr. Potter can help me with this, I know in the world today they have a portable dialysis units, but at some point during the week, you still have to be hooked up to one of these comprehensive things to get your full cleansing, if you can call it so. But I'll let Dr. Potter expand a little more on that.
Thank you, Minister Skelton. Currently, at the dialysis unit at People's Hospital, we're exploring other modalities of dialysis which would expand beyond the hemodialysis that we now do to introduce peritoneal dialysis, which has the possibility for actually taking place in persons' homes. In addition, we have begun exploring and actually started implementing renal transplant services. And we do encourage persons who have end-stage renal disease to locate family members and friends who might be willing to donate a kidney. The reality is that dialysis is an interim supportive measure, and persons who have end-stage renal disease, we really have to work and look towards renal transplants. We have a program currently. Over the past 8 years, we've facilitated about 4 transplants. We have a number of persons, about 4 persons currently, who are in the program and are being assessed for transplants. It takes a lot of community support, family support, and a willingness to find persons who are willing to participate to make the donation. That currently is perhaps the biggest challenge, because with the program that we have established already, there is good support from these institutions that support actually doing the transplant. We have at least one resident here on Virgin GORDA who some years ago was facilitated to have a transplant, and he will testify to how it has transformed his life. The reality is, if you have end-stage renal disease, you usually would suffer additional complications over time, and on average, your life expectancy decreases to about 7 years. So counseling with regard to transplantation for the kidney is something that we encourage persons who have end-stage renal disease to begin to talk to their families about, because ultimately, it is a better quality of life.
Just to shed some light, when we did the dialysis unit at People's Hospital in 2004-05, we had about 13 patients, 13 people being dialyzed. Today it's 54. So that cannot continue. And as Dr. Potter said, through England, we try to do to get people to talk to their families so they can get donors for kidneys, so that we can make arrangement so that they can get their a kidney transplant, which is the better way to go. Back to the dialysis unit, we have, I think it's 3 people who leave here 3 days a week to go to Tortola for dialysis treatment. And with the help of the one private citizen who wants to donate something, we are investigating the possibility of doing it. But to come here and say I'm going to do it and then don't get it done, it's not good. I want to say I am investigating it. When I get the answer, I'm going to tell you we have the answer, we're going to do it, and then when it's done, I want to come back and say it's done. You know, so that's the plan.
I believe that there was also a question concerning backup power. The architect can respond.
The emergency generator.
I thought I went through it, I'm sorry. This is the location of the emergency generator right here. It, of course, would have an automatic transfer switch, and it's about 50 feet off of the building.
What we want to do what we want to do also is, you know, the government has a renewable energy program going on. So we want to turn some portion of the roof into solar powered, so we don't have to be using fossil fuel continuously to keep the building lit.
Will you take additional questions at this point? Did Mr. O'Neill ask all the questions that you had in mind?
Well, if there are no major, the name is, I think we need to discuss the name. If we leave in the name the way it is, you know, we don't have to make a decision tonight. If it's the Iris O'Neill Clinic, you want to leave the name, or Iris O'Neill Medical Center, it sounds nicer to me, but it's your call. And we are hoping, if there are no major changes to these drawings that are required, the architect has promised me that by the end of the middle of June, the end of June. Okay, she carried me back a month. By the end of July, we will have final construction drawings. It will go out to tender, public tender, and that's a 6 weeks process. And as soon as we get it, we are hoping to be able to sign a contract to start construction of this facility by the end of the year. I'm looking at October.
Good evening. I'd like to congratulate Ms. Potter and her team and the Ministry of Health for doing such a good job and getting it to this point where it's a buildable structure and it takes into consideration almost everything that we need. In terms of the layout is very good, and the only thing I didn't really see, I don't know if I missed it, was a labor and delivery area, because it would be kind of difficult, you know, for persons who are pregnant and have, like, you know, complications to go on the boat to have a baby. Other than that, the only thing I want to stress is that this facility needs to be built as soon as possible. And I wouldn't like to see it be, you know, a political issue 2 years come or whatever, where some persons want to redesign it or anything like that. That happened with the hospital in Tortola. I think it needs to just be built, come in on time and on budget, and let's have a medical facility that we need. Thanks.
Thanks for your comments, and if you know me, if I can get it done while I'm here, it will be done on time and on budget. If I leave, you can't hold me responsible.
Let me just point out real quickly, we have an obstetrics treatment room. That's actually what this area is here. And we also have a procedure room that can be used as a labor room. So we covered it.
There's a question on the floor. Mr. Whitley?
Yeah, my question is, what procedures are in place for the staffing of this new facility once it's done?
Staffing.
The staffing.
That's why we have the Health Services Authority team here. Let me too apologize for the CEO. She is allergic to mold, and we had a meeting at our offices that caused severe reaction, so she couldn't be here. It's some people like that. It's not affecting me, but it affects other people. But we are over the next 12 months. We are trying to roll out exactly. Once we get the green light, we know that what we need, so we will try to roll out the facilities. If you put back up the site plan, you know, remember we purchased the building, the apartment building on the back, on the site. That great building on the back. We purchased that. It's a 4-apartment building, and we are hoping to finish that also, so that could house doctors and nurses in that facility. So that's the plan.
Follow-up question. Mr. Minister, I know you're going to be back here on the 29th, as you promised, and you have shown to be a man of your word, normally. But one of the concerns I have is that we don't get too far ahead with this. We're going to build this. But we need to meet with your HSA, because for Virgin Gorda, what we have been discussing is an integrated service delivery system, an emergency system for all such matters in Virgin Gorda. And while time is taken to develop the wellness program, we feel it is urgent for us, because we don't have all the services here. We have all the prescriptions for catastrophe on the island, and we want to work with your ministry and with the HSA to develop a comprehensive plan from first response to delivery to peoples if and when necessary. And I think we would hope that that plan is designed, brought to the community, and accepted, so that when we have this nice, beautiful facility, we have a complete service delivery model that is going to change the dynamic, not only of what happens in an accident environment, but might reduce the expansion requirements over time, because we are really fully in a wellness mode at that period of time. Thank you very much.
No, your views, the views that we are still hoping to accomplish, a comprehensive medical facility. You talk about taking the peoples to peoples, but if it's not necessary to move the person from here to peoples, but here to some one of our other facilities that we are partnering with, whether it's Puerto Rico, Panama, you know, instead of moving them there, if it can happen here. Now I'm looking 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road, that they don't just go to peoples, but they go some places. We hope that in BVI, at that point in time, we will be able to take care of most of these things to stabilize people and get them healthy. I will ensure that the chairman, if there is a committee here that is going to discuss with the HCA, I can make that happen. That's not a problem at all. You know, we were discussing, I have been discussing over the last 12 months with the Bradwitts for helicopter service. I have also spoken to Vaughn to see if he had some rich friends out here who are willing to do a helicopter service that we can really get the people from our sister islands to Peebles in a lot more comfortable and a shorter space of time. We are at present negotiating with the Shinneries in Jocelyn Dykes. It's almost finished. It's the last piece of the puzzle to build a helipad on Jocelyn Dykes for the same reason. But I can't seem to break through the helicopter, so anyone who can help me to do that, I'll be thankful and grateful.
There's a question in the back, Mr. Reimer.
Good evening. First, I would like to say that I'm feeling very proud this evening for what I have seen thus far. And I think that the initiative which this administration has embarked upon is quite commendable. I think that if we are going to realize a major hospital on Tortola and medical center here in GORDA, we have to also couple it with the national health insurance. We cannot get away from it. And as far as I am concerned, I intend to spread the word as far and wide, because if we go ahead with the initiatives that we are now embarking upon to open a major hospital on Tortola, without the national health insurance, we are going to bankrupt our country. If we take the payroll, and I hope that you'll give me a minute to say this, Mr. Minister. If we take the payroll of the Virgin Islands, the payroll of the Virgin Islands is some $400 million. If we take 7.5% of that, we are talking $30 million. At present, we are spending $33 million on health services. So I want to commend this government. I think that you're on the right track. You have my fullest support. I think that the people of GORDA can finally see that the end of the road, the end of the tunnel, that this is something that we have been longing for many, many years. And we have had, as far as I'm concerned, lip service. You said this is going to cost $4.5 million. Do you know that we spent $6 million on the greenhouse system on Tortola that has produced absolutely nothing? And what is worse, Mr. Minister, we have signed away the rights to the greenhouses. We have signed the rights to the greenhouses to produce whatever it has to produce over to foreigners. And we cannot produce anything there unless we pay them out a large sum of money. This is a scandal. This is a great disgrace for our country. And I thank you.
Let me thank you for your comment, Laz. The cost of health care in the Virgin Islands cannot be sustained the way it's happening. I think on a daily basis, people run out of, they drop from health insurance, they have pre-existing conditions. There are all kinds of complications that people have that they need medical care. And a country as BVI, we cannot just sit back and don't give access to care by those who can't afford it. So on a daily basis and a weekly basis, the Ministry of Health, we spend $20, $30, $40, hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to get people the care they need. We need a comprehensive system to fund and finance our healthcare system. It makes no sense we continue to be selfish and individual about it. It will come home to roost. You will lose your job one of these days. You will have no insurance for you and your family. And insurance companies, regardless of what they say, they're interested in their bottom line. A country, a government has a responsibility to look after all its people and give them affordable health care at international standards. And that's what we're trying to achieve. I don't want to be seen as being anti-insurance companies because they have a role to play. Insurance companies have a role to play. But I continue to listen to people, even here in Virgin Gorda, who have retired, and because they get some conditions, some medical condition, they're dropped from insurance companies. We cannot continue to allow this to happen. As a people and a government, we are responsible for looking after each other. It's not about me. I had my medical conditions. The insurance company paid the bill. I had to pay quite a bit of it, but it was paid. It's not everybody can do that. And we have 60 or 65% of our people in this country who are uninsured. So if we want to get good medical attention, services, we have to find some easy way, some burdenless way to pay for it. And the national health insurance, whatever form it takes, where government is responsible for it, can happen, and it needs to happen. That's all I would say.
Good evening.
We need, speak on the mic. Turn it down a bit now.
Good evening. With the National Health Insurance Plan, where can we get that document so that we can read it and try to understand it? And when I don't know if a meeting was held here on Virgin Gorda that I might have missed that explains in detail what the plan is, and if the community has questions, that those questions can be answered.
That is a fair request. I don't think, but let me say this: as a government, we were on the road. We heard some comments, so we have basically stopped the procedure to look at those comments. But the Premier was hoping to be here tonight, but like I say, he couldn't make it. But there is a booklet that they can give to you. But whether or not it's going to take that form, I can't say. But Laz is quite right. We have to do something. We cannot continue this way. You're putting your children, your family at risk. And as the people get older in your family, they become more expensive in terms of health insurance and health care. So that's the job of a government, to make sure that we look after our people.
So what you're saying is that since you have taken it back to the drawing board, when you're completed with those revisions, you will come back to the public, to the entire BVI community to have discussions.
That is correct.
I think one of the important features is that with this insurance, there's no deductible, Mr. Minister. No deductible, and persons cannot be refused for pre-existing conditions.
That's one of the conditions.
And that all of the people in the Virgin Islands shall have been pooling their resources together to pay for it.
Yes, that's what it's all about.
And so I don't know exactly what it is. What is the difficulty? Is it that some of us already have insurance and therefore we don't want others to have insurance? Is the country to be held up because one or two of us already have our own insurance? Is that the reason? I think that we need to move away from this type of behavior. Politics is going to kill us.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Picker? Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I hobbled down here. I live 200 yards up the road.
I'm sorry.
Decided to come down and listen because the most important issue, the most important activities in this community is to live. And you can't live if you're not healthy. And so that makes this program of the greatest interest. That is the health of the people. The architect, one of the jobs is selling us this building. I'm ready to put my money into it because you talk blah, 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 blah. It's a new feature in our languages today. But Mr. Reimer, what I have seen in 40 or 50 years here of my 85 years is a lot can be done. Save the money, save our health and our lives, and bring the community into better repute. One issue is, we have a great program here going now about cleaning the environment, cleaning up our neighborhood, cleaning up Virgin Gorda, and making Virgin Gorda look clean and healthy. But I can assure you these green garbage cans that they have every 2-3 feet, filthy right now. If we made the tour right now, you could go out and look into those garbage cans and you'll see filth. Dead animals, maybe some dead people, because they're looking for some people that are missing around here for a few years. And we could clean this place up because it is filthy behind every. I see guys come out with their wheelbarrows and their rakes and shovels, and they go 1 foot off to the side of the road and rake it and clean it up, but behind is a dead dog, a dead cat, or filth of all descriptions. And so I'm saying that you could cut half of your prices, Mr. Reimer, the interest insurance, and the waste of monies as alluded to as regarding greenhouses and such. We could save that by saving the health of our people, and that comes from education. They say the jail, Balsam Gut, is overcrowded, and I saw them build it. They come from Main Street to build another one out at Balsam Gut. They tell me now that they're jumping over the fence and they're going under the fence and they're escaping. They're murdering, murder and slaughter and injuries at an all-time high. And Mr. Educator, we'll find that most of the people in Balsam Gut is there because you're stupid. You got to be intelligent. We got to put our schools together and our education together and our curriculums together. And so we can save money, the insurance business, clean up the trash and the filth, because you can go on tour at this moment or tomorrow or anytime, and I can assure you behind every bush you will find. Have the people seen me? Anybody see me out there with my machete and what have you, cleaning up out in front of the government building? And I put up the sign even, no littering. And you know what? It is filthy in front of the government building where the Queen came. I saw Chief Ralph O'Neill bring the Queen up, and the governors come up, and there's filth and trash all around those buildings. And so to save money, to save our lives, we'll have to stop blah, 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 blah. And like Brother DeCastro said, we need these facilities now. We don't have a dentist. Our doctors are not here. They should be listening to you and listening to this program. Where's the doctors from the Nurse Iris O'Neill Clinic? Where are they? I don't see one. I see Brother Amy. He's from Apex. He's not from Ridicule. Not a single doctor out here. They're supposed to be watching, see what's happening too, because they are the principal parties as far as taking care of us, instructing us, guiding us, and telling us what us to do. And so, I'm not going to be guilty of blah, 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 but everybody knows that I have something to say. In the next 85 years that I live, I'm going to say all of it, because we have to stop joking and as Brother DeCastro said, let us have this right now. We don't have a dentist. Ms. Potter said, oh, the dental facility, we don't have a dentist. As a matter of fact, the optometrist, my license expired a couple of weeks ago, and they told me, Mr. Peaker, you have to go down to Road Town, get your eyes examined. And I said, what? You mean tell me I have to go all the way to Road Town? It's going to cost me a couple of $100. And so help me. I did it. I went down to the optometrist and what have you, and they said, blah, blah, blah. Go down to the pharmacy and get this. You see this bottle? $30. $30.
Thank you very
I think
much.
a Heineken would do a better job.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peaker.
Madam Chairman, Honorable Minister for Health and Social Development, and the other platform guests. First of all, Honorable Minister, I would like to thank you for bringing up your team here tonight, coming with them to explain where we are with this clinic. I myself feel very optimistic about it. And listening to what has been said here tonight, it would seem as if the possibility of going out to tender will be sometime in 2013. And thereafter, you will see other things following up. But Honorable Minister, what I would like to say tonight is that there is time for training the employees who will work at that institution. We can no longer sit down and depend on some people to come in and they may stay for a year or two, but they may make more trouble than what good they do. And we have had some very nice people coming in and working 24/7 and don't care about that. They just work and help the people. But it is time that we should now look to recruit people and send off for training in the various skills. As I go to the hospital in Rotong, I see many people there doing various work, testing blood and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we would need that up here. Just this afternoon, I was talking to a young fellow who has left high school now for 4 years. And he said his aim was to get into the fire brigade. And every time he called up the chief fire officer, he was told that the government stopped him from recruiting people. So he's doing a job that he really doesn't enjoy doing, but he has to do some kind of work. And I think if we start the recruitment early, and the Minister for Education and Culture is here, and I'm sure he would be very pleased to help us get people for training at Rotong Clinic and abroad. And I would like to see action taken on that, because I am convinced that this project will go ahead now. And one question I would like to ask, I hope that the building that was purchased some time ago will find some use for it in the Nurse Iris O'Neill Medical Center. Got to get accustomed now to that name. So that's all I have to say for now, Madam Chairman, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Leader of Opposition. Let me start at the end. I mentioned earlier that the building, the gray building on the screen here, second gray building, we are hoping to finish that and use it for nurses and doctors' residence. So that's the plan for that building. You mentioned HR, training people to work in this facility. You need doctors, nurses, allied health professionals. You need maintenance and operation people to run this facility. The operation and maintenance people, they're the easy ones. But what we have done, if you remembered, we had 5 new doctors that came back, 5 young new doctors. And it takes about, how much years, Dr. Pickering? 5 years, 6 years, 9 years. It takes about 9 years to get a good doctor specialized. So we had 5 new doctors came back, and now they have to go and get specialized in some field. But what we have done and I think, Mr. O'Neill, during your term, some scholarships were given for nurses and doctors also. So we have people out there studying to be nurses and doctors. And when I was in Jamaica looking at their health facilities there earlier this year, late last year, we have 2 well-trained doctors over there who get ready to come home as soon as, I guess, we get our facilities done. And the ready one is an imaging specialist, you call them, radiologist, and the other is a pediatrician. So we got to constantly be training doctors and nurses and allied health professionals in the field for all our health services, to operate our clinics and so forth and so on. So it starts in the school. The kids in the school must do the sciences to get into these fields. It's not, I am not making that decision. It's when you go out to the outside world is where it's made for you. So we got to encourage our kids who want to do nursing and being doctors and work in the allied health fields to do the sciences. So just don't send them to school to do what they want if they want to be in these fields. Let me recognize that the deputy premier is here. He promised to come at 8 and he's here, so Dr. Kedrick Pickering. Oh, well, he's acting premier.
Pleasant good night to everyone. I just want to take the time to lend my support personally to the plans that has been rendered tonight, I want to say, I know to say it, but big shout out to Ms. Potter. She's from Virgin Gorda. I'm very proud of you. Yes. I think she deserves a better round of applause. That's one of us. Yes. As someone rightfully said, Ms. Potter knows what Virgin Gorda needs. And I don't know if I'm speaking for the majority or not, but I just a few things, just a few comments, little humor. But I hope that based on the spirit of the atmosphere tonight, that this is a go-ahead. I am 35, making 36. The clinic was like our second home as little boys growing up. We played basketball in a parking lot that was there. The nurses had allowed us to put a little rim up back in the days, and we played around the clinic. A bit of modification has been done, and it is a better improvement. We can't say that the clinic that I personally had known when I was growing up has changed, has modified a lot, but we have outgrown that present clinic in a lot of ways. And I really think it's about time, the Honorable Minister Skelton, that we do something. And so I'm here saying that I hope from tonight, May 7th, 2013, as you have rightfully said, if it is a go-ahead, by this year, something should have been started. And we hope that you don't send an excavator and a back up there and then pull it back off. We hope that when it goes up, it stays there until something, shows for what has been rendered on the plan. Just one point, I don't know if I may have missed it, but in terms of the nurses and the doctors, it's going to be a 24-hour clinic. Even as it is at present, our nurses work very hard. The Honorable District Representative, the Honorable Ralph O'Neill, mentioned that there have been some bad ones, but there have been some very good ones at our clinic. And I would like to know that the rooms that I've seen there that was rendered, just in hope that they are big enough to facilitate that the nurses that go on break, because a lot of times they're working very hard. And when we go up there personally, sometimes those nurses haven't had lunch, and they're working very hard because there's a lot of traffic in that clinic now. I would just like to know that just one of the things that the nurses have a good little area that they can be revitalized and, be back encouraged and stuff to service. But I want to say for record, the plans look really well. It look like it suit what we need for the next 5, 10, 15 years. And I hope that this year, if we all agree tonight by consensus that yes, it will be a go-ahead in this year. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that, Pastor George. I'd just like to go over for you asking about the nurses area. This is basically a locker room and a break room for the nurses and doctors, and it has its own private restroom right here, and there's also one on the second level, which is also a break or lunch room for the nurses and doctors, basically the people that work at the facility. So we have thought about them.
Okay, is there another question while we get ready to close?
Mr. Minister, there was an earlier discourse on the present cost being $33 million for the provision of health services. I am sure in the study that was done, or what should have been done, was an actuarial analysis based on inflation of health costs or health services provided over a discrete period of time. When you look at the cost of health services based on the persistent inflation within that sector of the economy, what would be the cost in 10 years out? And which system, which health delivery system or national system are you looking at? As we know, there are 4 discrete ones that they use generally. I think it's the Beverage, the Bismarck, National Health, and out-of-pocket, or a combination of all of them. The problem that you have, and let me say first, I agree that it's a must. The problem that you would have is how do we control from a single payer perspective the cost of services as the population grows? And how do you protect from an escalating or an inflationary a spiral, not a downward, but an upward spiral of costs, so that it does not, in fact, break the system, or you deliver less services than you hope to? Since in the old national health model, as you know, it was based on the government owning the preponderance of the facilities, and essentially, because of that power and weight, was able to control in the general sense. But we have a national, how should I call it? It's a national trend where we like private medical facilities. We have many private medical clinics. How is that going to operate within the construct that you're developing for national health?
I didn't tell you we're coming back to the public with the national health, so there is some discussions on the national health that I prefer to leave until we come back out. But the present studies that were done through the University of the West Indies Health Economic Services, the estimated health expenditure for the Virgin Islands was some $59 million, and it's projected to go something like $79 million over the next, I think it's about 10 years, it wasn't 20. But let's say, in spite of the NHI, the contribution being made based on that study, the government will still have to put in something like $29, $30 million into the program. So the government is not, the taxpayer is not basically, the government still has to contribute.
I would just add to that all the studies show internationally that national health insurance system actually helps to control the rate at which healthcare costs rise. So the cost of healthcare is rising everywhere, but in countries where they have national health insurance, the rate of growth is much slower. We'll leave it there until we come back to the model. Okay, well, we definitely will have a dedicated discussion at the appropriate time to answer those types of details. There's one more question. Sorry. We have one last question from the back. Do you have a queue?
Okay, would our local construction would be involved in this building? Would our local construction company then would be involved in this building that we're seeing up here?
It is going to open tender, and we are hoping that local contractors will tender on the project. That's our hope. So, unless I missed the question that you're asking me. Say it again.
Okay, well, I'll repeat it one more time. Okay, the building that we're seeing, what we're seeing there, what we're just asking is the local construction company, would they be involved in building this building?
Yes, if they...
All right, thank you, Madam Chairman, and good night to everybody. The reason I was late is because I had a function to attend to, and it's quite an interesting bit of news. I'm sure Mr. O'Neill already know, but if you haven't heard, well, the Honorable Premier was away, and he should have been back earlier today, and he came back a lot later than expected, and there's a function going on right now at the governor's. And at that function, one of us had to be present to make a little speech on behalf of now Dame Madam Justice Janice George Cricky. And I think I am correct in saying she's the second BV Islander to have been knighted. And probably, yeah, the second one, Sir Albert Georges. And the Sir is attached to men, Dame is attached to females. And so it was officially announced today that your own, our own, Janice is now Dame Madam Justice Janice Pereira. So I couldn't come over on the 6 o'clock board because I had to make sure that the Premier was back just in case he wasn't there, so that I would have been there to ensure that one of us was there to greet her and to make some formal remarks. So congratulations on behalf of all of us, I think is in order. And I'm sure on behalf of the Minister, I could also say on behalf of the Premier, thank you all for coming out. And I think whenever the meeting for the National Health Insurance Scheme is being discussed, everybody should be here, because it is extremely important that despite what have been said, what negative things have been said, the health of our country depends very much on having a national health insurance scheme. We cannot continue to pay for the services the way we are going. We are going to go broke. So, you know, there are issues that have to be sorted out, but I have to stand up and support the very important concept. If this is to function properly, if it is to be financed, if it is going to serve all of us, we are going to have a method of doing it. And one of the best methods to help finance will come through the National Health Insurance Scheme. So whenever that meeting is held, I want to encourage you all to come out, to hear for yourself, ask your questions, so that we could all be better educated about what we are doing to help us all. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you very much, sir. And we will now invite our Honorable Minister of Health to give us some closing remarks.
Let me first say, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming out to this meeting. I am extremely happy that we are here. You basically have seen what we have proposed, and I am not the person who make promises and don't do it. Mr. O'Neill know that I do these things. So this project will go on as I mentioned, as planned. We are hoping that by the end of the year we will have groundbreaking, and the project will be on the road for the next 18 to 24 months to completion. So I thank you for your support. I thank you for your suggestions. When you get home, if you have further suggestions, don't hesitate to call. If we can accommodate those suggestions, we will gladly do so. I thank you and have a pleasant good night.
I would also like to add words of thanks to all who participated in tonight's meeting. A very special thank you again to our very talented architect, Ms. Evelyn Potter. Thank you for that presentation and for the wonderful work that you have done and will continue to do on this project. We thank the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Potter, for his technical expertise and his continuing support to building our health system. We want to thank the Minister of Health for his vision and leadership, his determination to take the health system forward on behalf of all the people of the Virgin Islands, and for the many persons who have worked behind the scenes to make this meeting a success. Ms. James Law, that you see, is our public health communications specialist, and there are many others who I cannot name, but I do want to publicly thank for their efforts in bringing us to this point this evening. I will ask you if we have the green light to proceed, to just indicate by a round of applause. If you... Thank you so much. We appreciate your support. We want to take you with us every step of the way as we move forward with this project and the many other initiatives that we are proceeding with in the Ministry of Health. Our email address is ministryofhealth@gov, that's gov.vg. I would like to invite you to drop us an email if you would like us to have your email contact so that we can keep you directly informed of developments as they unfold and let you know what's happening and provide you with material if you want particular information on any project that we can send those to you electronically. Please drop us an email, ministryofhealth@gov.vg. I look forward to seeing all of you out on the 29th, where the Ministry of Health will share with you many of our other ongoing projects and programs. So with that, I thank you again for coming.